Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Back with us on the program, one of our favorite guests, and judging from response to the listeners, one of your favorite guests as well. Roberto is with us, Robert Maxxim. We're talking about the Legacy series. This is a novel that's been 30 years in the making. It's the story set in the future of mankind's previous sojourns through this and countless other worlds, as experienced by the author, Robert Maxxim. Robert experienced several sleep-time visits to other worlds as a child, witnessed countless alien craft. These visions continue to this day in both wake and sleep states. He studied concert piano at age 3, but changed his calling to science following his visionary experiences. And again, the Legacy series is a culmination of these experiences shared with the world for the first time. He lives and works in Illinois, working in the field of information technology and mentoring science of life. Robert, welcome back to the program. It is great to have you with us.
Thank you.
I throw that information out there. It's like, I think everybody should know it. We've done so many shows together and so many responses. And for those who have not listened to the program before or watched it on YouTube, if you go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, go to YouTube and iTunes, you'll listen to the past programs. Or go to Robert's website, which is rgaetan, GAETAN.com, and you can get some great information there. Allow some extra time. You're going to sort of like a library when you're going there with all that information there. You do an excellent job with that. That's going to take a lot of time to keep that up to date like you do.
Well, I do. I try to make sure that I keep it up to date with everything that's going on in new developments in science and anything and everything that I can find.
We mentioned in the beginning, I mentioned the sleep time visits to other worlds as a child, and we're going to go back and take listener questions. We have so many, and if you have a question for Robert, who'll be back with us on the program, just send it to, if you go to our website, you can link on, and again, send the comment section, you can send a question for Robert. The first one is asking about, and this comes from a listener who's in Raleigh, North Carolina. This began when you were a child. When did you realize that this was a gift? And I guess I'll sort of add to that point, add to this point. When did you realize it was a gift? Because we all have, as youngsters, we have strange dreams from time to time. When did you realize that this actually was a gift?
Well, I've learned that what we call gifts are actually natural functions of spirit and is the true way of life. But, not everyone wants to deal with any of that or are afraid of leaving their old ways and beliefs behind. So just a seeker of truth is not afraid of calling my old ways by their wrongful roots. Legacy shows my struggle for truth over the years. It's showing that the ego self will do anything in its power to keep us from truth. Now, as far as realizing what was going on, it didn't really strike me until 1973, and that's when Pam, the big one, happened. And that kind of told me, well, you got to go back in time and remember everything you've seen because it is critically important. But that's kind of when I woke up and I said, okay, I better pay attention.
Yes, and mention the Legacy series. It's really the culmination of the visions, the confirmation efforts written in novel form. It is a novel, but so much of that there are experiences that Robert was able to retain and is sharing with us in the Legacy series. The website is rgaetan.com, RGAETAN.com. Link on our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and take you directly there. Book available, of course, the series at Amazon as well. I mentioned as I'm saying the word gift, I'm wondering if, in fact, it is a gift. If you had not been so open-minded, if you would have shut that down, would you be where you are today?
No, I'd probably be somewhere else completely involved with the material world. So many people just shut the door on what the higher self is trying to tell them, and they don't believe it. They would rather believe a deceitful self than a truthful higher self. That inner voice within, even the Bible is very clear about it. You better listen to it.
And that's exactly what you did at an early age and have been listening to it ever since. Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program, that's Maxxim. It's the Legacy series. Information available at our website. You can link on directly at thisweekinamerica.us. A follow-up question comes from a listener in Atlanta. And it says, did your family believe you when you first started having these visions? And how did they accept the visions when you were explaining them to mom and dad and maybe other family members? How did that happen when you were trying to explain what you just went through?
Well, I was so excited. I had never seen anything like this. I go to my parents, my friends, school buddies, everybody, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, exactly. This
like,
is not something that you're going
yeah.
to share with a lot of people, and they're going to go, yeah, I had that happen to me last week as well. This is probably the first time they've heard about anything like this.
Yeah, they didn't understand. They didn't want to know. The world was just fine for them. So I don't want to deal with that. Let's talk about something else. So, yeah, did anybody believe me? Not really. But eventually, in time, I did find others that had similar visions and understandings with whom I study and share all of these things with to this day.
Robert Maxxim, our guest on This Week in America, talking about the Legacy series, which is based on so many interesting experiences that he's had over the years. Listener in Lansing, Michigan, question for Robert. Why do you feel that you were chosen? And again, is chosen the right word?
There we go. That makes me think of a verse from the Bible, Matthew chapter 22, verse 14. And it goes like, many are invited, but few are chosen. Now, you got to ask, well, why is that? Well, the problem is that everyone is really invited. However, few RSVP.
Interesting.
So, the call goes out there. Who's going to respond? Most people, their mind is, over here on the world, or, got to do my taxes, or I got to watch the football game, and I got to go to work, and I got to earn money. So is their channel turned on? No, not really. So they don't check in. They check out. So another phrase is seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be open. And if you don't seek, knock, or question status quo, then you're really getting nowhere fast.
Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program, talking about Legacy series and his experiences, taking listener questions. The next one from a listener in Wichita, and I've often thought of this as you're describing some of the experiences. Were you ever frightened? Is there that point when you're like, wow, I got to get out of here. This is scary to me.
Not really. To me, it was an extremely uplifting experiences. However, I must say that truth can sometimes cause fear because, the ego is ignorant. It doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to change. So fear is a natural unconscious struggle for honesty. So I've been there. But as they used to say back in Civil War days down south, I swallowed the dog,
Okay.
arm myself with valor, and fight for reason, no matter how terrified I might be of any consequences. The important thing is to know yourself and strive forward for a more positive evolution.
Listener writes in, sends a question to Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program. Can this help us understand and possibly eliminate our fears and emotions? And just from your answers as we've talked over all of these programs, I think it really has worked that way, a very positive way in your life.
It sure has. And it's the only way. You put the ego down lovingly and with wisdom, and guess what? Fears vanish. It is replaced with knowledge, wisdom, life. You breathe again, in a sense. It's a completely freeing experience once you have that. But you must also replace that fear with higher knowledge, or else it is going to come back. And there are a lot of people that do fear training, and they'll put things in their heads, hypnosis, whatever else, and it works for a while, but before it comes back. And most people think there is no cure to it. However, fear is ignorance. So, and fear is also that ego striving for life. So guess what? When you feed it knowledge and truth, guess what happens to it? Poof, calms down.
Information at the website rgaeton.com. You can link on directly to our website and get there. Go there on your own at rgaetan.com. Robert Maxxim, our guest, the Legacy series. There are 5 books. How are you coming in the series now? How many are actually available that we can buy?
Oh, there's 2 available now. Number 3 will be available by the November timeframe. A very important book that will go into all of these concepts. And then comes 4, which is a lot of information on past lives that most people are not even aware of. And then number 5, which is kind of what we can look forward to in life. So 3, 4, and 5 are going to be must-reads as well.
Looking forward to that. The books are in such great detail, and you deal with, again, it's a novel form. You've got dramatic moments. You've got romance. Really vivid. These are, I want to talk about just note-taking, and I'm sort of a lost of words on how to explain this here, but I mean, you really have vivid recollection. How do you do that?
Well, I put my heart into it, and the dedication and devotion is everything. Dedication to create a more positive future for yourself is the first step in having a clear life. But when you do that, you can't think about not helping others and sharing. So when I wrote these books, the ticker in here was really ticking not just for me, but for everyone else, making sure that whatever I learned and I experienced can pass on to this and other generations and help turn this world around, because it really needs to.
The series is entertaining and enlightening. You will read this, and from an entertainment standpoint, you will find that this really is an excellent read. I can't wait to get to the next chapter and see what's going to happen. And then you realize that this is all based on experiences that Robert has gone through. Back to some of the emails from Indianapolis. Was communication difficult? How do these people that you interact with, how do they communicate?
Well, we just don't know what to do, what we don't let ourselves do. Just as breathing comes natural, so does this form of communication. But when we're covered by layers and layers and layers of wickedness and ego, and we don't want to face our own consequences and negations, then it can't happen. There's something else occupying our mind. I personally spent hours pleading for years, daily, inwardly for this to happen. So I want to say that higher beings gave me, shall we say, a jump start.
Okay.
To help me realize what life was all about and what I had to do. But then the rest was up to me. I had to appreciate this and say, yes, this is what I want. This is where I want to go. And strive and fight and make sure that I don't slip back, and emotions and fears and other people's opinions or whatever the condition of the world didn't drag me away from that. I had to stay on this path, and I did everything in my power to keep it that way. It took everything I had.
Well, that's interesting. Once you get the knowledge, once you understand that, the implementation, is that difficult? And sometimes you have to watch to make sure that, okay, I have this information now. Mm-hmm. This is powerful, and I need to share this with people.
Yes, and you can go wrong in a split of a second. Don't forget, we are in a very carnal world, and the weight of our carnality is probably this much, and the weight of our spiritual development is maybe that much. So the odds are against you, I want to say. But there's a whole organization of spiritual masters that are there to help you, just as long as you fight for that truth. Then it comes into you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will open. If you don't do those things and you go back to the easy way, not happening.
And if you are seeking, you will find great information at the website rgaeton.com, rgaetan.com. Link on directly at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. A question from a listener in Indianapolis. What is their intent, and do you consider them friend or foes?
Great question. I like to think that I side with those whose life's mission is mankind's spiritual, not technical evolution. And for those who expect, for example, alien contacts or landings to be established anytime soon, it's not happening. Besides, landings, and why I'm mentioning this, landings have already taken place and aliens have already contacted our government. But guess who we chose to deal with? Spiritual or technical? Easy answer. Legacy goes into great detail concerning what's going on with these issues. It goes to great lengths. But I can assure you that who I try to follow are the friends. And there's plenty of foes. And those foes don't necessarily have to have a physical body. A lot of them are spiritual forces. And they go about, trying to devour someone who is weak and someone who is trying to break out of the mold. So not only do you have your own past working against you, these foes are out there to get you and to keep you concealed in this mold, in this world, and the way things are. So the battle gets even tougher because it's not only you who is trying to pull backwards. There's thousands, millions of forces, which can be called obsessions, and they're trying to pull you back. Hey, don't go away. You're a customer. Come on over. So they won't let you go that easy.
No, it's interesting with all the experience you have, starting as a teenager, as a young child. I get the feeling you still go through that conflict and that battle and trying to weigh one side versus the other. This is really an ongoing process for you, isn't it?
For everyone. And you can't fall asleep. You have to keep your guard up at all times. So I'd say that instead of being worried about aliens, which are good or which are bad, we have to find out what's going on inside because that's really where the foe is. That's what really needs attention.
That's fascinating. We got time for one more question, and then we'll chat a little bit at the end of the program. Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program. That's Maxxim. The backstory, he experienced several sleep time visits to other worlds as a child, witnessed countless alien craft. These visions continue to this day in both wake and sleep states. It's all in his Legacy series, which is now available. His website is rgaetan, GAETAN.com. Email from Anchorage. Are you able to see the future? We've talked a lot about the past. Are you able to see the future?
I have, and I never expected it. In reality, I trust higher beings will show me what I must know for my own evolution. So I ask only for wisdom and nothing else. The ego always wants knowledge that it can wrongfully use to venerate itself, abuse others. But what we desire for the most part is mostly selfish. So we have to be aware of what desires actually loom, and we have to test the waters. Is this desire for the self, or is this desire for something that will help me in my evolution? So sometimes knowing the future or knowing certain technologies or what have you is not necessarily a very benign, doesn't have benign origins. We have to be very careful.
How has this, in a couple minutes left in the show, the time always goes by so quickly, and Robert will be back with us. I think we've talked about this before, but I'm still fascinated by this. How has all of this knowledge shaped who you are?
Well, I like to think that understanding life's purpose is what's helped me the most. And especially by studying not only myself, knowing myself, but universal principle. And reincarnation is a cyclic process where you come to know yourself over many lifetimes. Yeah, you make mistakes, you get up, you go, you try again, and you learn along the ways. You learn about your emotions, desires, fears, and apply the universal principle that you learn while you are in the spiritual realms in between incarnations. That's the way you evolve out of your ego, but it does take time. And anyone that thinks that they can do it in one lifetime, well, I've been at it for more than I can count. Maybe I'm stubborn, maybe I'm not that smart, but I can say it takes a lot of patience and learning, and I have sure made a lot of fumbles in my past. So hopefully I'm now accelerating the process a bit more.
It is always a fascinating discussion, has been again during the course of today's program. And the past programs you can find by going to thisweekinamerica.us, to YouTube and to iTunes, and you can listen and watch our programs. Programs are also posted at Robert's website, rgaetan, GAETAN.com. A lot of great information there. A lot of pictures, a lot of background. And that's why I think there's so much credibility, Robert, in what you do. You don't just throw something out there. It's based on, well, you've got a scientific mind. You were a skeptic in the beginning. This is all based on science. You've got proof for everything you're talking about.
That's right. There's nothing worse than believing in a wrong thing, in a dream that isn't true or falsity. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of that running around. So, word to the wise, you have to study, and check things out, or else, you could be easily deceived.
Yes, and there's so many people out there that are attempting to do that, and that's why, again, I think there's so much credibility in what Robert is talking about. The book series is Legacy. You can order the books at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can also go to the website and get information there as well. Much more at the website. Like I say, it's like a library. Once you go there, allow some time because you're going to look at all of the information there. The trailer for the series really has some excellent graphics and music as well. With your music background, did you have anything to do with the music?
Yes, I actually scored some of the music for this. And I have a very talented artist in Mexico who has done all of the trailer movies. And soon, I promise soon, we will have 4 or 5 minute rendition of my vision of Venus, and you will see the full video of what happened in that vision. It'll show every detail.
Well, it is a first class trailer operation with the graphics, with the music. It is all so well done. I mentioned a little bit, studied concert piano starting at age 3, and your life changed. You suddenly decided this was going to be the focal point of your life, and it has been. Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program. That's Maxxim. The website is rgaetan.com, GARGAETAN.com. And the book series is called Legacy. Robert, always a pleasure. We've got more questions. We will take more from listeners. So if you're listening to the program, watching the program on YouTube, send an email. You can do that at our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and we will talk about it next time. Thank you for being with us. Much to think about in today's program. Thank you.
Really looking forward to it.
Robert Maxxim, our guest on This Week in America. You can link on directly, of course, by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us.